Hello, everybody. 'Tis I. I was posed a question and I thought I would give an answer to the best of my ability. And someone made a comment. I think it is Superman in a series of numbers. How do I deal with crisis, or how does my family deal with crisis? And I have a couple of different answers. Number one, I don't. Number two, I drink, or I use drugs. No, I'm just kidding. I don't I, 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 I'm not saying I haven't taken those avenues, but I don't drink and smoke. I just really never have. So this is my natural high. Anyways, how does my family deal with crisis? Well, I'll go back to when I was a kid. We had a big family, so we all kind of stuck together for the most part because my grandma was the glue. And so there was always someone you could talk to, rely on, etc. And as a little girl or as a young girl, I used to write poems and listen to music, and that's how I dealt with crisis or heartbreak, etc. And then I went through some traumas, my trauma in the military. I was sexually assaulted and went on to marry someone who abused me a number of years. And so I lived in silence and shame. And I carried that around for a long time. It's funny because on the outside everything looked great, but on the inside everything was a jumbled mess. So eventually I realized I needed to take care of myself. My children were gone. I was an empty nester and I was at the end of my rope. And I walked into the VA and I said, I didn't I didn't say I don't want to live anymore. I said I don't want to live like this anymore. And I was inpatient at the VA twice, for a couple of months each time. I went through intense inpatient therapy, which was cognitive processing therapy. And I stayed at the VA and I started to learn how to deal with life in a much different way. And so I think that's when I started to form a bubble, and I started to listen to my inner voice, intuition, etc., that said, oh, this person you keep at arm's length, or this person you just say hi to, but this person shouldn't go in your bubble. And so I started to listen to myself and my comfort level and what I could not tolerate, how much I could handle regarding being around someone who may be negative or have a lot of drama and chaos, etc. This includes family as well. So I started to work in that direction. I started to raise the level of my worth regarding my time, energy, my heart, feelings, etc. So I'm very, very particular about who I give of myself to. And then I got married a couple of years ago, and my husband is an iron worker. He has a different way of expressing his frustration than I do. So when I told him, I said, your level of expressing your frustration is really kind of overwhelming. Him and I sat down and talked, and I said, I try to create a very peaceful home for us, which it is, including all of our animals. And I said, so it would be great if you could join us. So we've had to learn how to talk, how to communicate, what his level of comfort is, what my level of comfort is, and I'm a big supporter of therapy. I don't use drugs and alcohol. I don't use mental health drugs. They haven't really done anything for me except made me feel like a zombie in the past. So dealing with crisis now, because my husband and I are on the same page and we have the same mindset about what we want in our life, when we deal with crisis, what we do is we talk. And when we're dealing with an external crisis from other family members, we talk about it. We yell it to one another. I tell him my frustration, he tells me his frustration, and we get through it. And also, when it comes to frustration in my own life regarding my marriage and intimate relationships with other people, I have friends I can talk to and bounce things off of and get input from, so I can get back on track so it doesn't turn out to be a full-blown tsunami. So that is my suggestion. I think when it comes to being having a successful life is in regards to who you surround yourself with and who you have intimate relationships with, and that you have people in your life that support you, want the best for you, aren't afraid to tell you, hey, you're getting off track here, come on back. So I think it has to do with managing crisis in your own life as an individual, and then learning how to positively manage crisis within your relationships, getting on the same page, and then normally things flow pretty smoothly. And when you deal with something, you deal with it as a couple, or you can deal with life, um, with stressful situations, with the help of friends. We get by with a little help from our friends. So, so that's how I deal. I hope it helps, and I'll be back.